Hi, my name is Chris Ryan. Welcome to the Forest of Arden. Today we're talking about a really important topic. We're talking about chipping, and I've got 3 things that you can do in your chipping technique which is going to help you get up and down more often. So welcome back once again to the Forest of Arden. The green behind me is the 13th. It's a par 4. I've just missed the green a little bit longer left, and I've got a pretty straightforward chip onto this green, and if I can get this up and down I can save my par. So in this video we're going to go through 3 things which can definitely help you improve your chipping, and certainly from this situation the goal would be to try and get the ball up and down. If we don't get the ball up and down, taking 3 from here isn't going to destroy your scorecard, but many of you from this situation will struggle with strike, and it may well be that you actually take 4 from this situation, which unfortunately will cost you shots out on the golf course and probably lose you ground against the people that you're playing against. So 3 things that are going to help you deal with this situation much better and improve your chipping. So the first thing and the first tip to really improve your chipping is to stand closer to the ball at setup. So if I sole the golf club out, I've got my 9-iron here, but if I place the golf club in its kind of playing condition, where the sole of the golf club is pretty much flat to the ground, and adopt my setup, this would be absolutely fine if I'm looking to hit this 9-iron with a full swing. But when I'm chipping, I really want to stand considerably closer to that golf ball. So I would raise the handle up to raise the heel off the ground, and then I would have to move myself in much closer to that golf ball. So you can see that's quite a big difference compared to where I was a moment ago. So why would we like to do this, and what does it actually do to our chipping technique, and why does it make it easy? Well, it's got a couple of benefits. The first thing it would do is it would actually raise the heel off the ground, and suddenly we get a slightly lower profile of golf club approaching the golf ball. So we get the toe sat down. This part of the golf club is a bit narrower than the width of the club itself, so it helps us deal with this slightly longer grass that I'm faced with here. It's going to help the golf club cut through the golf ball a little bit, cut through the grass a little bit better. The other thing it does is it means that we're going to play this shot with minimum face rotation. The closer we can stand to the golf ball, the more that the golf club face stays pointing towards my target. The further away I stand, the more I will naturally introduce some rotation of the golf club. The third thing that this setup will improve is it will improve the attack angle. As you can imagine, if I stand really far away from the golf ball, it creates a much flatter swing arc and my club stays much lower to the ground. If I stand much closer, the first movement of the golf club is one where it works a little bit more up into the air. So it adds a little bit of upwards in the backswing, which in turn is going to add a little bit of downwards to the downswing. So standing much closer to the golf ball is really going to help us with many things, and we almost get 3 or 4 benefits to that. So tip number 1 is to stand much closer to the golf ball at setup compared to what you would do for a full swing with whatever club that you've got in your hands. Okay, let's move on to the second tip. So the second thing which I think can really help you with your chipping is to do with the backswing and the shape of the backswing. Now, if you've taken point number 1 and you're standing much closer, that's going to make what we do now much easier, but we can still unfortunately get this wrong. Notice how when I take my starting position to this golf ball, I've placed this alignment stick pretty much at the same angle as my golf club. Try and get this as close to the angle of your golf club as you can, and I've got that just back from the heel of my 9-iron. Now, all too often with these short shots around the green, we see golfers work the club too much kind of in behind them. Similar to what we said in tip number 1, the more the club works on this arc, the lower the club head tends to stay to the ground. And the lower the club head tends to stay to the ground, the more likely it is that we're now going to get some of this grass between the club and the ball. Very difficult for me to control distance and spin. I'm also more likely to catch the ground early or miss the ground and catch the ball thin. The other thing from there as well is I'm probably going to need some amount of forearm rotation through impact to get that ball heading towards the flag out in front of me. So this is a very, very simple little exercise, but the feeling would be that the golf club is moving a little bit more straight back from the golf ball. It won't be straight back. There will be a curve and an arc to this stroke, but as we're standing much closer, it's going to encourage us to move that club a little bit straighter back. So I can just make some little practice swings here for moving that ball out of the way, trying to make sure that my club doesn't go and collide into this alignment stick, but rather it's working more on the kind of outside of it. Like I said a moment ago, if I can set myself up correctly, so that tip number 1, that's going to make this second little sort of tip a lot easier to do, and using this alignment stick is just going to give me some fantastic feedback. Okay, let's move on to tip number 3. So we've got ourselves set up to the golf ball in a fantastic way. We've got a good idea about how that club is going to move in the backswing. So tip number 3 is really just looking at how we move the golf club and which parts of our body are influencing that movement. Even though this ball is going to carry, maybe some 4 or 5 paces onto that green, so a very, very short distance in terms of its carry, I could hit the ball all of that distance just by using my wrists and possibly a little bit of my arms. Now, because of that, it's very easy to just use those body parts. It's very easy to just use the wrists and just use the arms. But I really want to feel like even on this short shot, I've still got a mini pivot of my body. What that's going to mean is it's going to mean that my wrists and my hands become a little bit more passive, and the movement of the golf club is a little bit more controlled through my upper body, my chest, my hips, and you'll notice that my knees are kind of reacting to that as well. So tip number 3 is just to feel like it's a body controlled motion. Now, when we say a body controlled motion, that doesn't mean that there's no movement of the wrist at all. I want to have my grip pressure in such a way that on this little golf shot, there's a little bit of play in the wrist. That's going to help me with a little bit of rhythm. It's going to help me judge the distance a little bit better. However, the main movement is controlled with the body. Get that B out of the way. Mainly controlled with the body, and there's a little mini pivot as we go ahead and hit this shot. It's going to be fantastic for your rhythm, your tempo, controlling the golf club in a better way, and also maintaining the face position through the shot to help you hit the ball a little bit closer. So stand a little bit closer, raise the golf club up a little bit, get the golf club moving a little bit better in the backswing in terms of its shape, and control the movement with your body. Do those things and you'll be a better chipper out on the golf course. Right, I'm going to try and hit this now. I've put a little bit of pressure on myself because I've kind of talked through what you need to do. I've now got to try and hit those. Sorry, I've got to try and do those 3 things and see if we can get it close. This is pretty quick down this 13th green, so I've only got to land this just on. I've got my 9-iron. So standing nice and close. Going to get the club moving back in that better direction. Use the pivot. Might even hold it. Okay, it's going to go a little bit right at the end. Might go in. Okay, just overread it a little bit, but it's only about 1.5 foot, maybe 2 feet away. So from here, that's pretty good. I've got pretty good chance of getting my up and down, moving on to the next hole, and missing this 13th green hasn't cost me a shot. Using that technique, you can be pretty consistent from here. Choose the right club, make sure you've got the right amount of rollout, and I think you'll be able to get up and down a little bit more often. So setup change, backswing change, use the body to control the pivot, and you too can hit chips like that and get up and down a little bit more often. Thank you very much for watching. Always appreciate your views. Comments box is down below. Use that if you wish. Give me a thumbs up if you did like the video, and click my logo over there if you're not a subscriber. That will allow you to be a free subscriber of the channel. I would love to have you along for the journey. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here again soon.